In here, Marina. I think we've lost them. Oh, of all the Lunavilles to visit, we had to pick the one that's crawling with Mysterons. Still, I think we should be safe enough in here.
Who is there? Identify yourself, or I must sound the alarm.
Oh, it's Chris Dale and Marina.
Thank you. Can I help you?
Yes. What would we like? Oh, yes. We would like some ice cream, please.
I'm sorry. Your recognition disc cannot authorize that.
No ice cream, Marina. Well, in that case, we'll have to settle for making this week's randomizer selection in here, if that's okay. Marina, watch the door for me, will you?
This would be in order.
Good. Right, let's see what we've got. Oh. Well, for the second week running, we have a show that's new to the randomizer. It's... What's that, Marina? Oh, they found us.
You will never leave the moon alive. Orson, seize them!
Oh, cripes, that's torn it. Marina, grab the randomizer. Let's get out of here. Lunar Controller, you better come too.
No. Sid, seal all exits.
Oh, wait for me, Marina! Whoa! Oh. Are you alright, Marina? Yeah, I'm okay. Look, I know we agreed that self-defense classes for you were a good idea, and I stand by that, but did you really have to throw Orson through that porthole? You see, there's this thing called explosive decompression. Never mind. What? Oh, the randomizer selection. Well, I'm afraid I dropped the printout when all that kicked off in there just now, but like I said, it is another series that's brand new to the randomizer. It's Captain Scarlet, The Launching. Well, here we are, finally talking about an episode from my absolute favourite Super Marionation series, the original Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. And what an episode to start with, because this, I find each of the Jerry Anderson shows has a really good episode, like tucked away in like the, not quite at the end, but sort of like just past the middle. And this episode, and I think Flight 104 as well, is an example of a really good episode tucked away in the back half of the series where nobody can really find it. I love this one. So, yeah, very excited to see this one come up. I just noticed this street scene, there's a window cleaner's ladder up in the background. That's an odd thing to see in Captain Scarlet. It just goes to show, every time you see these things, even though I've seen these things dozens of times, I'm still picking out new details every time. Now, this is a gloriously grim opening to an episode. I know every Captain Scarlet, pretty much every Captain Scarlet episode has to have this opening sequence where the soon-to-be Mysteron agent gets themselves into trouble, largely through no fault of their own, and pays the ultimate price before being reconstructed. But this sequence is quite, I think, quite effective because it's so long. Also, something I find somewhat chilling about most of these build-up to Mysteronization sequences is that
looks like I'm on my own.
Very often the character who's about to die is on their own, and they spare us no glimpse of their final fate. Like this guy just took an electrical blast to the back of the head. Now his plane's going down, but not only is the plane going down, we get this gloriously horrible close-up of his dead body covered in soot, and oh, it's so ghoulish. And it's difficult to think of any real to think of anybody who got taken over by the Mysterons who was in any way a bad person, or you could say deserved it. They're just ordinary people going about their daily lives, and there you go. That life is now snuffed out, and in their place is an evil alien doppelganger. That is just such a beautifully freaky concept.
I'm fine. Just fine.
I'm really not a Mysteron. Why would you think that I was a Mysteron, even though I'm talking through gritted teeth? That's something I always find quite cheesy about the post-Mysteronization interactions with ordinary people when they say things like, I'm fine. And nobody ever clues into the fact that they are clearly not fine. They are clearly now alien-possessed zombies. That's not fine.
We will deal you yet another crippling blow.
in addition to the 3 that we've managed so far.
They intend to assassinate President Roberts.
Yes, sir. And within the next 12 hours. There's no time to lose. What are my orders?
It's an interesting streak in the Scarlet character in that he says things like that, like there's a Mysteron threat. Oh, well, I'm going to be on the front line. I'm the one who's going to be resolving all this. As I said in Grey Skulls, you have other talented, capable people hanging around Cloud Base and Captain Magenta who really should be involved with this kind of thing.
I want you to impose maximum security. Draft all the Spectrum personnel you need. Take Captain Oka with you.
SIG, Colonel.
I love how it's just like, all the personnel you need is one person.
Request launch clearance.
Spectrum is green. Proceed with takeoff.
And why is Scarlet leaving on his own anyway? I know it's urgent that they get somebody out to the President to protect him, but Blue and Oka are literally going to the exact same house as he is. I think we need to re-establish our approach to economy here, Spectrum. This is a bit of a waste of fuel. I love the Angel launch sequence, and I especially love this bit here, which is entirely pointless. It's total padding, but we have this aerial rendezvous with the gloriously triumphant music playing as the Angels all join up.
The Angels are climbing for RV.
It's nothing they ever did in any previous episode, because there's absolutely no reason to do it, except to kill some time. But it just looks so nice.
I'm a very busy man, Captain Scarlet. Please be brief.
Mr. President,
Something I've found odd about the scenes of the President here at his desk, President Roberts, he doesn't appear to have any legs. It could just be that he's wearing black and it's masked against the black base of the chair, but I can't even see any indication of feet.
remember, Mr. President, the Mysterons killed the Director General of the United Asian Republic.
Now there's a touch that was always welcome in Captain Scarlet, and you saw it in episodes like the Lunarville trilogy, and you saw it in Operation Time and Spectrum Strikes Back, where they would pick up on continuity points like that, and they would continue the story. That mention of the Director General is quite significant, because in the second episode we were told that if he was killed, the consequences would be terrible, but then he's killed and we don't know what happened. Evidently, judging by that line, that was quite a big deal, and it's rare that the show would just mention past events like that outside of a clip show. I do enjoy this sequence as well, of the Angels sort of passing Brand's plane and then turning back towards him, again with this gloriously triumphant Spectrum theme. Even as a kid, I would look at this and see that the level of production on this was far above even Thunderbird. Something about the Century 21 aesthetic, these models, the up-to-date puppets, it just looks so much more slick than it used to.
This is a Spectrum.
And here we have a shot of Symphony, the Under Control puppet, the one that didn't have strings, so you didn't have to see them poking out the top of the canopy, which again I think
Violating the restricted
just ups the technical level of this superbly.
If you can prove your identity, you will be free to proceed to the
I do like how effective Spectrum are at imposing security in this episode. It is quite unlike them. Usually they leave some gaping hole somewhere for a Mysteron to just saunter straight through. And here we have something unique to this episode.
Maybe I should teach you a lesson.
Tagata, that is far enough, Mr. Brand.
This is the only episode in which actress Lian Shin voices Harmony. For the very few other speaking appearances she'd had in the show, she was voiced by Liz Morgan. For some reason, for this one episode and one episode only, they got an actual Japanese actress to play her.
That seems to be in order, Mr. Brand.
And it's strange that she did this one episode, which basically amounts to this one scene and nothing else, and it got her a credit on the end titles of the show for all 32 episodes. When you have the likes of Shane Rimmer and, who's the other one? Neil McCallum, they do voices in like 3 or 4 episodes. They're never credited. So it's odd. What did she do? Why did she get this one episode? I'd love to know what the story for that was, but I suppose that's lost to time now. I love this shot of Captain Black watching Brand's parked car from the roof. The shot just looks kind of off. I think it's flopped, but the positioning of the character, he looks like he's possibly perched inside somebody's chimney. It also looks a lot like Peter Falk in this scene. I think he must definitely be flopped.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It's a little unclear watching this what exactly President Roberts' role in world affairs is. I'm presuming he's the American president. He lives in a White House, but certainly not the White House. Obviously, we know the world president is like the world president. There are politicians like the Director General, the Triumvirate of Europe, who are also important. It's never explained what president's role is. And here we have a sequence involving Captain Oka and Mervyn Brand with his, being checked by the Mysteron detector, which doesn't quite come off. There are lots of quick shots that don't really hold together, ultimately ending with the shot of Oka cradling Blue in his arms, and they're looking at each other the same way that Troy and Marina would look at each other when they're lying on the beach. You know, that shot at the end credits of Stingray. I love that image of Oka and Blue just staring at each other. It's very sweet.
The atomic liner is going to be called the President Roberts.
Of course. They could mean the ship.
I love that. I love that twist in the tale. We're only 8 minutes from the end and they think, oh, we're okay, we've got this under control, nothing's going to go wrong. And then they realise, oh God, we're in completely the wrong place, guarding completely the wrong person. That is such a fantastic twist. It points to this episode being slightly better written, I think, than Captain Scarlet often was, because like I said, there was occasional huge leaps in logic and characters doing not stupid things, but just kind of being a bit dim to serve the needs of the plot. Here, they've genuinely tried their best, and they've done a really good job, and they just didn't have all the facts. They couldn't have predicted this. I love this as a twist. It's beautiful. And what I also love is in this scene that Scarlet goes off to the shipyard. He makes sure to leave Blue and Oka there just in case he's wrong, and the Mysterons really are after President Roberts. Which is a good move because we know that Captain Black was hanging around the place. So this is our second ship launching episode that we've seen in the Randomiser after Trial at Sea, and I'm noticing that along the top of the podium where Mervyn and the shipping president and his wife are now standing, there are these flags that were also present in Trial at Sea, which look French, look American, look German. They look like the flags that we're familiar with in our world, but they're all slightly different. Each one is slightly different from the norm. It's enough to make you recognise each of the individual countries, but also to recognise that this is the future, as it were. I think that's a good touch.
It looks like a big crowd. Wonderful.
I counted 0 people in the crowd just then. There's this long panning shot along the side of the ship. There's nobody else there. And here we have the Mysterons have done something evil to the champagne, which was not unprecedented for the Mysterons. They would later return to messing around with people's champagne in Flight to Atlantica. It's something that something they seem to be quite fond of.
I will ask my wife to launch this ship, of which you can all be so justly proud.
Is that a quote from something, that of which you can all be so justly proud? That it's always sounded to me like that's a quote from something. I'm not sure. Please let me know if it's true.
Stay where you are, Earthmen.
He's got a gun.
Who said that?
Look out!
Who is that American voice in the booth there with them? That doesn't belong to anybody. But I do love this scene.
He was a personal friend.
Please, sir.
Martin King and particularly Francis Matthews are doing a really good job here, and also the sound effects of the screaming people in the background.
Yes, Colonel White? Yes, sir.
And the fact that we're hearing one side of these phone conversations as they're evacuating the shipyard, it makes it feel so much more real than it would normally do.
No, we don't know where.
But we know where. We know it's the champagne. And you always know whenever this puppet playing Mervyn Brand appears, that 9 times out of 10 he's going to play a Mysteron, because he was one of the few puppets that had a special blinking head. Captain Brown was another one, and Commodore Goddard, which made it easier for them to do this trick that Brand is doing here of pretending to be dead, but actually he's up and he's on his feet again.
No, Earthman.
We will be avenged.
And this is such a glorious scene as well. The way the bottle swings forward and just misses because the bullet hit the cradle earlier. Just enough to throw it off and enough to do that. I love that shot of Brand watching the bottle swinging back towards him. It's just, it's a beautiful sort of uh-oh moment. I do love this ending as well. This is quite charming of the President being so respectful of Scarlet in death and then realising that he's still alive and just being amazed.
You don't even have a scratch.
It's really nice to see him sort of getting the appreciation and praise that, quite frankly, Captain Scarlet deserves.
On behalf of everyone, all I can say is thank you, Captain.
But screw those other two guys who were standing out the front for hours on end. They don't count. Well, that was the launching, and oh, I love this episode. In my heart, I know it's not like the greatest episode ever made. It's not particularly spectacular, but the level of the writing that goes into this one, and the fact that you have that beautiful twist halfway through where it's just like, oh no, we're protecting the wrong thing, that really elevates it above the others. Who wrote this? Peter Curran and David Williams. You two are good chaps. You've done good work here. Can't remember which other episodes you wrote, but oh, I have a feeling White as Snow was one of yours as well. That was beautiful as well. But for this episode, yeah, like I said, very underrated, this one. Doesn't get much attention. And I think it deserves a bit more attention than it really gets, really. What a start to Captain Scarlet on the Randomiser. One of my favourites. Looking forward to more in the future. SIG.